Welcome to Research Unit Packet video number 5. You should have your white Research Unit packet open, and you should also have source number 3, which is the blue packet today. We are going to finish up the white packet, and you will turn this packet in on Monday so you get credit for this week's work. We're going to be able to scroll down, or for you, you're going to flip through your packet and we can go to page 6. So we're starting the process over because we are going to start a new source. Every time you find a new source during your research, you start this process again. You find all of the works cited information, you read through the source to find your information, and then you turn that information into notes. So here's our box where we continue to find out our source information. And this is source number 3. By numbering them this way, I've been able to keep track of how many sources I have and where all of my facts came from, whether that was from source 1, 2, or 3. Then we start looking at these blanks we need to fill in, which is the information that we would need for our works cited. And a works cited is like a bibliography. It's a list of sources that we often put at the end of our research papers. So I want you to pause the video, look at source number 3, and see if you can fill out this information. Let's see how you did filling out the information for the works cited. I got all of my information basically from the top of the article, which is where you will usually find this information. I started with my author's last name and then my author's first name, making sure I capitalized them and spelled them correctly. There's our author on the article. It then wanted the title of the article, which was also at the top, except for when I wrote it, I made sure I capitalized the first word, the last word, and all the important words in the middle. When it came to the web magazine title, that was also at the top. This article was originally featured in Science News for Students. And the one thing I'm going to need to do, because it is a magazine title, I'm going to need to underline it. So make sure you've done the same. The publisher, which is who made it available for us, was Newsela. The date of publication, which was the date that it was originally published. Again, I went date, month, year. I found that once again towards the top. The medium of publication, because this article was found originally online, I say web, which is a reference to the World Wide Web, the original name of the internet. And then the date accessed is today, because today is the day that we are looking at and reading the source. So today's date, 11 March 2021. If your information does not match mine, you will need to pause the video and fix yours to make sure it matches. The last thing we're going to do is determine our parenthetical citation, just in case we need it for quotation notes. But parenthetical citation is easy to find because I simply use the first word that I wrote in the box, which in this case was the author's last name. So I simply put that as my parenthetical citation. Now, if our article had not included the author's last name, and I didn't have anything in these blanks, I would just use the first word of my title, because that would have been the first word written in our Works Cited box here. So now that I have everything I need, if I were to write a Works Cited page, and I could easily show what source number 3 was, I can start looking for notes. So I can read source number 3, and I can search for facts and opinions that are going to answer my research question about if distance learning was an effective way to learn during the pandemic. At this time, open up source number 3, have your pen or highlighter ready, and as you read, look for anything that you think is going to answer our research question. Now that you've read source 3 and you've found some information that will answer our research question, we can continue to the last page of the white packet, page number 7, as we put in some more information that's going to help us answer if distance learning has been an effective way of learning during the pandemic. So as I go over to my article, I'm going to scroll through and look for the first information I highlighted. I found something right away on page number 1. It says all you have to do is get in Zoom, and when that Zoom's over, get into the next Zoom, says Tyson. Distance learning means lots of screen time. All right. So we can verify that going from one Zoom to the next is the process, which makes that part a fact. But distance means lots of screen time. That's an opinion, because where Tyson thinks that is a lot, somebody else might go, well, I didn't think it was that much screen time. I usually spend much more time on my screens. So there is an opinion in that note, because other people might disagree with what it means to be a lot of screen time. Since there's an opinion involved, we're going to have to treat this piece of information as a quotation note. So going into my white packet on page 7, this is going to be a quotation. It was on page 1 of my article, and I'm now going to need to copy and paste word for word that information from my article. And I'll put that here in the first box. All right, I have copied over word for word that opinion from my article, but we run into kind of an interesting situation. There were already quotation marks involved in this, and I know that I have to put quotation marks around the whole thing to show that I am borrowing somebody else's words. So here's how you handle that. You take the original quotation marks and you turn them into single quotation marks. And then you'll put the normal set of quotation marks at the beginning and the very end. So this is what it will look like. So it almost looks like we have 3 quotation marks here, 1 here, and 2 here. It looks unusual, but that's how you put quotation marks inside other quotation marks. Make sure that yours matches mine so that we can avoid plagiarism. We have to show that we are borrowing someone's words, and we want to make sure that they are accurate. Now we can continue into source number 3 and see if we can find some more notes. Now, sometimes when you're looking in a source, you might only find 1 or 2 notes, and that's okay. Lucky for us, our sources have all had a lot of information in them. But it's okay if you can only find one or two things out of a source. It's still valuable information. Now, when I go to source number 3, and I keep trying to look for information that will answer my research question, on page 2, I saw some more information. I saw a line that said, nearly 9 in 10 exceeded the recommended 2-hour daily limit on non-school screen time. So they're talking about kids who, when you're only supposed to get, say, 2 hours of screen time outside of school, they're saying that kids are getting way more than that. And that's not good, which means maybe distance learning is leading to some bad habits. Now, we can prove this information. We could do research, we could take a survey, and which is what they probably did. They saw that 9 out of 10 kids basically had more than 2 hours on their screens with non-school items. Since it is a fact, when we put this information into our notes, we are going to do it as a fact note. So there it is as a fact. It was on page 2 of our article. And when it comes to facts, facts need to be put into our own words. We need to paraphrase them. We do not copy them word for word the way we did if it had an opinion in it. So I need to find a way to take this same information and put it into my own words. Here is my paraphrase of that same fact, which means I have put this in my own words. 9 of 10 kids spend more than 2 hours on their screens for non-school purposes. This is more than recommended. Same information, but now I have it in my own words. Only opinions should be copied word for word. All right, I've got room for 2 more notes. Let's see if I can find some more information that answers my research question. Right there in the next paragraph. Research has shown that kids who spend a lot of time on screens are more likely to have eye problems, weight problems, and trouble with reading and language. They also are more likely to show a wide range of other physical and mental health issues. Sounds like they're listing a lot of things that can happen if you spend too much time on screens, which happens a lot during distance learning. Now, this is research-based, so this is fact. They have actually researched and done experiments and surveys that show that this has actually 100% happened. So it is going to be put as a fact note. It was also on page 2, and because it's a fact, we need to take that information and we need to put it in our own words. Here is my finished paraphrase. Research shows that too much screen time can cause problems with eyes, weight, mental health, physical health, reading, and language. I basically took the 2 sentences and condensed them down to 1. So facts, we put them in our own words. This is the end of video number 5. Copy this information in and then move on to the final video, number 6.